In this video, we'll look at what makes the Paladin a great class and not so great a class, and at the end, we'll give the verdict on how good was the Paladin really. Now, Paladins are equipped with lots of abilities that make them great to play within a party, defensive auras to support and keep their groups and themselves alive, such as Salvation, Cleansing Aura, and Meditation for mana regeneration. But they also have the incredible, powerful Holy Shield. Holy Shield is incredibly powerful, allowing Paladins to max out their block chance and be able to fight in close quarters without having to worry about dying extremely fast. But besides being a great team player, Paladins are known for some of their very powerful builds, such as the Blessed Hammer / Hammerden build, Dream / Tesladin, Smiter, and Zealot, as well as Fist of the Heavens Paladin. Each of these builds have pros and cons and are suited for different situations, and we'll discuss each one so you can decide for yourself how good the Paladin is. Now, Paladins have changed a lot over time in Diablo 2. Previous to patch 1.1, Paladins weren't considered top tier until synergies were introduced and they became extremely popular due to Hammerden becoming not only viable, but one of the most powerful builds in the game. The Hammerden primarily relies on Blessed Hammer, Blessed Aim for synergy, Concentration as an active aura, Vigor for synergy, and Holy Shield to actively increase survivability. This build is considered by many as top tier and one of the best builds a Paladin can run. This build is strong because it's very tanky, and Blessed Hammer has almost no immunes since it doesn't do fire, lightning, frost, or poison. It's magic damage. This build can also do any content, including Ubers, Declone, or whatever. So if you're looking for a build that can do it all, Hammerden has you covered. However, this playstyle isn't for everyone. This build struggles in narrow areas where the circling hammers can't, well, circle. It can be boring / tedious to spam the hammer ability a bunch just to clear one screen full of mobs. And the build isn't super beginner friendly. To be effective, you'll want certain gear, and it isn't all easy to acquire. In addition, if you're accustomed to playing Sorceress, you'll find this playstyle a bit slow and clunky, especially without Enigma granting teleport, and even then, it's still a very slow teleport compared to the Sorceress teleport. But all of that said, it is a top tier build, and you can't go wrong playing Hammerden. Moving on to the Dream / Tesladin build, now this is one of my personal favorites. This build relies on Holy Shock provided from the Dream rune word, hence the namesake, and puts points into skill synergies such as Resist Lightning and Salvation. Since Lightning is the main source of damage for this build, the Dream Paladin also runs Conviction, which lowers enemies' armor and resistances. And for the primary attack, it is Zeal, and its Synergy Sacrifice are also places to put skill points into with this build. Now this build is my favorite because the playstyle is super lazy. You can literally run around and stuff just dies around you by being too close to you. That's what Holy Shock, Holy Freeze, and Holy Fire do. AoE periodic damage. It's amazing. This build is great because it can farm anything. It's great to play, easy to master, and of course, you save your fingers some clicks. However, getting the gear for this is pretty hard. The Dream rune word isn't exactly easy to create, and you need to make 2 of them, and in addition to that, progression can be difficult before you have the 2 Dream rune words, and since there are a lot of lightning immunes in Hell mode. Since it's a melee build, you also run the risk of getting surrounded and killed, and of course, you need high attack rating to make sure you can actually hit the monsters, so the build isn't perfect, but still one of my absolute favorites and I highly recommend, even though this build is not considered top tier compared to Hammerden or Smiter Paladin. Next, let's talk about the Smiter Paladin, another build I like a lot. The Smite Paladin is very popular because it has been a staple build in Diablo for a very long time. It's ideal for farming Ubers and is perfect for handling end game content. Smite cannot miss, so this build does not need to worry about attack rating, and it's also super tanky, which helps since Smite is a melee range ability. However, this build does have weaknesses like all the rest. You can't start off as a Smite Paladin. You'd want to level as some other build first, and the build doesn't have the greatest AoE. Smite is single target, but the build does run with Zeal for multi-target, but it's not a Holy Shock aura by any stretch of the imagination, so it kind of struggles with large groups of mobs. Like all builds, it also lacks mobility. Charge being the 1-point wonder, which allows some improved mobility until Enigma, and another weakness is that it's only a single damage type, whereas Dream does lightning and physical, Smite just does physical damage. All of that said, though, Smite is absolutely top tier and considered one of the absolute best builds you can go as a Paladin. Next, let's talk about the Zealot, or the Zealer Paladin. Now, this build relies on Zeal and Fanaticism, an aura that increases damage and attack speed. Now, fun fact, it used to only increase attack speed, making the aura kind of funny, just rapidly attacking and doing absolutely nothing. The build also gets Sacrifice for synergies with Zeal, and Holy Shield for survivability. This build is great because it's fun to attack very fast and shred everything in front of you. It can dominate the endgame Uber's bosses and can farm nearly anything. Like the Smiter, Zealot does only physical, so it can run into issues with immunes, and it is gear dependent. You'll want an indestructible weapon for sure, since you'll be attacking very, very fast, and you don't want to run back to town like a coffee addict runs to the bathroom. And like all melee builds, there is always risk involved with being melee. Overall, though, a very strong build, many consider on tier with the Dream Paladin. Not necessarily the absolute best in the game, but still very powerful. Now, I do want to talk briefly about Fist of the Heavens Paladin. This is primarily a player versus player build. You absolutely would not want to use this for player versus monster or PvM. Fist of the Heavens, of course, is relying on Fist of the Heavens, the ability which is ranged. It does shoot down from the heavens and does a bunch of ability, a bunch of damage. This is actually considered one of the absolute best player versus player builds. So if you're looking for a class that can both do everything in player versus monster, as well as be extremely competitive in player versus player, many people consider Fist of the Heavens Paladin to be the best player versus player build. Then Paladin pretty much has it covered. So if that is something you take into consideration for when it comes to what type of class you want to play, Paladin can do it all. So there you go. Overall, looking at the top builds and the playstyles, many, and myself included, consider Paladin to be one of the best classes in Diablo 2, if not the best. With endgame content easily clearable and a smooth leveling experience, the Paladin has an enjoyable playstyle from beginning to end. If you're looking for a good time with Diablo 2, Paladin might just be your class. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like and subscribe. That would be much appreciated. My name is Toy House. Thank you, and I will see you next time. Take care. Hey guys, Toy House here. If you are looking for more builds, more details, I'm going to include links in the description below to a website that I recently discovered called d2maxrill.gg. This has tier lists, it has builds, it has almost everything. It's still under construction, but a lot of people are endorsing it, and myself included. I've actually been brushing up on some things since, oh my gosh, I haven't played Diablo 2 in like years, so I would highly recommend check out in the description. It covers, in specifics, the Hammerden that we talked about today, the Smite Paladin, the Zeal Paladin, the Dream Paladin, as well as the Fist of the Heavens Paladin. As of right now, the site is able to give you a skill calculator, so if you want to test out different builds, it's got leveling guides, pretty much has everything you need to get started. So highly recommend you guys check it out. Thanks again. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more Diablo 2 content. Take care.